These are becoming super popular, and honestly for good reason. This is a Theragun. Mine's like maybe 3 or 4 years old. They have a whole bunch of new models. I haven't tried them all out because this one works really well. I also have a Mini, and honestly I kind of prefer the Mini to this. But a lot of people and a lot of clients ask, where can I use this safely and how can I do it? So I want to show how you could use this on a partner so that you can learn like where I use it and how to get at certain muscles and know which ones are safe, which ones are not. And so that's what we're going to do. So one of the places that not everybody realizes are awesome to use this on is the bottom of your feet. So I'm going to extend the leg, rest it here, and we're just going to work right on the bottom of the foot. Now you might need to hold the foot. And so here's the big heel bone. You want to be slightly above that. Here are the balls of the feet. Those are probably okay. And you can sort of go right into the arch and just, again, work up in nice little slow lines. If you start to see the toes do weird vibrations, that means you're doing it right. On the foot, if you get this big shaky thing, don't worry about that. That's really good for your toes. Now, I will say, this from here to here is really the only area you can do this on the foot at all. You shouldn't do the bones out here. It's just way too much bone, way little tissue. But right here to here is really nice. Now let's talk about the quad. You basically can go anywhere right above the knee to all the way up to the ASIS, or the hip bone in lay terms, and kind of do anything in between. So if I'm hanging out with my partner, oh, your quads are very tight. You want to just very slowly move. You don't want to move very fast at all, and just kind of hold a steady pressure and just try to slide up through the muscle. Wow, your vastus intermedius is a rock.
It's like the bone.
If I'm sitting, I also can do these. And you always want to try to balance both sides, unless somebody is very asymmetrical and complaining and wants you to do more on one side than the other. So tight. My favorite place to do is the glutes and the hip muscles, right? And so I want to do a quick little anatomy lesson for you so that you understand where the safe zones are here. So the pelvis basically comes out in an arc of bone called the pelvic crest up here. The femur, or the upper leg bone, comes from the knee up to a big old knob of bone called the greater trochanter right here. And you can really think of the pelvic crest and the greater trochanter as the two places you want to avoid, and you can really get anything in between. And most of the musculature goes from the greater trochanter to the pelvic crest in lines, right? And so if I'm using my gun, and I really prefer it on the lowest setting, not the mask setting, I tend to like to hold it like this. And here's the greater trochanter. I want to be just above that, and I can actually work in lines towards or between the two. So I could go from greater trochanter to pelvic crest, or the other way, it doesn't really matter. But I'm gonna pick these lines here, and I'm gonna put a little bit of pressure if I'm working on somebody or myself. And so basically I can draw lines right between that pelvic crest and the greater trochanter. And that is going right in line with the way that the muscles are moving. You can also just find a really good spot and hold it. And you want to pay special attention from about here to there is the piriformis muscle. And that is going to feel like you hit something really good. If you get that little bouncy thing, that means you're on the bone. It's not going to kill anybody, but it doesn't feel great, and there's no real therapeutic value to that. So as soon as you see this kind of bounciness, then you're right on the bone. So anything that does that you should avoid or not stay on for very long. But otherwise you can basically run between those inlines in whatever way feels good on yourself, and you can ask your partner what they like or don't like. Like I can feel right there, that's piriformis. And a little goes a long way. So a few minutes of that would feel really nice. Okay, the last place, right? It's really not all that safe to do this to your neck, right? You can kind of get away within here on yourself to some degree, but you definitely don't want to do the front of the neck. However, right below the collarbone is pec major and pec minor. These muscles right in here. And that's actually a reasonably safe zone. And if you get the vibration in here, it's going to feed up into the scalenes, up into the front of the neck. And so for all of the head forward posture, desk work, sitting, this is an area that can get a lot. And so basically, here's the sternum from here to here. Here's the collarbone. You want to avoid those. You want to avoid the breasts, obviously. Nipples on either men or women avoid, but this sort of like space right below the collarbone, you can start right on the lateral edge or outside edge of the sternum and just kind of come through that space a little bit. It's not a big space, so you're not going to want to do a lot of movement here. And really, you could even just hold it right in that space towards the outside of it. And this is actually going to do a lot to relax the front of the neck and the back of the neck and the jaw and the head. And again, you want to make sure to get both sides. And so, bonus anatomy lesson here. The front of the neck tightness getting released can trigger a cough reflex.
Happens all the time.
Yep, that's not the worst thing in the world, but just know that that can happen. All right, so there you go. There are some very easy to use and easy to learn techniques of using a Theragun on your partner that they will be super excited if you try them out on them. And all the ones that we showed are safe. You don't have to worry about doing anything weird. And they're all gonna be really helpful for any of the aches and pains that people deal with when they sit at desks all day. So have fun. And if you wanna learn how to use this on yourself, watch this video.